Hey there, welcome back to the artist always known as Alejandro, that's me. And it is high time to switch gears. I've been drawing superhero type characters the last few videos. That's all I've been doing. Now it's time to switch gears and go into a little cartoon mode. Because it's about time I showed you how to draw my character, Meow Meow. She is the main character in 3 of my kids' picture books that I made. I wrote them, I illustrated them, published them, so they are out there for you to read. So with Meow Meow, I'm going to start with a big circle for her head. If you've seen any of my other videos about Meow Meow, you kind of know what she looks like, but from the thumbnail in this video, you know what she looks like in the finished product. I'm still going to do my vertical and horizontal lines where the nose and the eye line meet. I give Meow Meow just a little neck. And her upper body is going to be this kind of almond shape. And she's a female character, but she is a very strong kitty. She has superpowers, so she can fly and lift very, very, very heavy objects. She has super strength. So she is a little buff. And I want to do the traditional posing with the hands resting on the hips, that very heroic pose. So that's what I'm going to do here. So Meow Meow doesn't have a lot of great detail like you would see in the other characters I've drawn. She's very simple, but she still has to be proportionate as best I can do. You know, a cartoon character, you have a little more leeway, but still, if you're doing arms, legs, and all that, try to keep it consistent. That's what I try to do with Meow Meow. This pose was being a little tricksome. And yes, I'm starting in the Clip Studio Paint pencil phase. I'm not doing a pencil on paper. So her hip area, pelvis area, is going to just be this little oval. And I quickly realize I need to shrink this down because I want this to fit in the whole page here. So there we go. All right. Yeah, I want her legs in this drawing. I don't want to cut them off. So going back to my little green pencil. For her legs, I start them just at the top of that little oval, and then these little, I want to say they almost look like Pez candies, these little Pez candies. One layer there and one layer underneath. Her legs don't have crazy detail, you know, we're just keeping her kind of simple here. And then her feet are exposed. She doesn't have boots. It's just her little kitty feet. Not super little, they're kind of big, but she's got to be able to stick that superhero landing. And that really is about it for the design, the basic design. I'm setting forth here. Just going to erase a little bit and get her ready to start sketching in the details to make her actually look like Meow Meow. Because that's the important part. We want her to be Meow Meow. Now, the idea came to me to make Meow Meow from my sister. She was complaining about the cartoons my niece was watching at the time and thought I could make a kid's picture book better than that. Like, me make a kid's picture book? Are you crazy? Well, for my niece, yeah, you know. My sister knows I've been drawing all my life and figured I could do a kid's picture book. Like, okay. All right, I'll do it. For my niece, why not? You twisted my arm. But what's it going to be about? Well, at the time, my niece was obsessed with her cat. So I said, okay, let's make it about a cat. But what? Yeah, the cat going to school with her friends and all that's been done to death. So I'm like, well, what can I do that's a little different? Then I thought, what do I love? Superheroes. So from there I said, okay, a superpowered cat that flies around. I had an original concept where she was a cat that lived with people. She was their pet. And then when they go away for the day, she'd turn into this cat to go around and help animals and get help from a talking cloud called Fluffy. He's another one of my characters, but I'm like, maybe not. Actually, just going back to the sketch here, as you can see, where her nose is going to line up with the line I drew from the other sketch, it won't line up, but that's okay. Things can shift because, that where her eyes meet in the middle, that's where her little nose is. And she has tiny little eyes, these little riblets. And there's her nose. Give her a nice big smile. No eyebrows. So, a superpowered cat that does what? And then I'm like, well, maybe she'll just be looking to help other animals. Pretty simple. She flies around looking to help animals. That's it. Like, okay, that's a good message because my sister and I and my wife and I, we love animals and we want them to be treated well. So I thought that's a good lesson for kids. Take care of the animals. And so, like, well, what's the first book going to be about? And actually, what does Meow Meow look like? I started with this basic idea. My niece's cat was a black cat, and I'm like, well, a black cat might not be the most colorful. Black is a very hard color to translate in a kid's picture book as a consistent character. And I didn't want to do that to myself. I wanted to be this kind of tannish brown color. Like, okay, that's cute. Then I just didn't want her to have... I wanted to have like a very cute face that is very welcoming and relatable. And that's how this came about. The costume, I always knew she had to have a cape. And then I'm like, what's her little symbol? I would play around and come up with this little heart, this little emblem. A heart was the best thing. Like, she has a big heart, even though it's on this little emblem that holds her cape together. I thought that was a nice thing to tie everything together. And just this simple cape. In most of my early drawings, I didn't really give her much of a neck. It's like her head was there and the cape just flowed up to where her chin is. As I've drawn her more in other books, I've given her a little more neck. And then the rest of the costume, I'm like, well, what else? I don't want her to have long sleeves. Let's give her short sleeves. This little line here. And then her arms are exposed. Like, that's kind of a relaxed thing. She doesn't have to be that tied up. Again, I'm turning the page to draw this little hand on the hip thing. It worked a little better for me. Actually, page 1 of my first book, she's in this pose. But I wasn't using that as reference. I've drawn Meow Meow so many times. I know what she's supposed to look like. So I had these little lines on her sleeves, and I ended up making those orange. What's good about the pencil, you can just go back and forth and kind of work out some things. And then I gave her this belt. And what do I put in the belt? I just wanted this bland thing in here, so I just drew circles. They'd be like kind of like a circle metallic stud or something. I drew a lot more in my early books and then soon realized, let's make this a few. And this was originally going to be an M. The letter M was going to be in the middle. I did draw something with that, I'm like, it's too much. So I wound up doing these just little, almost like a V, if you want to go like that, but just coming down, and those are orange. And then I wanted her to have a skirt. Yeah, I wasn't going to do like bloomers or pants. I wanted her to have a skirt. It seems cute for her. Just some lines for the skirt, and then her exposed legs there with her feet. Not too hard to draw. This one's going to be closer toward the camera. I want to do a little reference so I know where the her little 3 toes line up. Looks a little crooked anyway. I think I fixed that. I knew I fixed that. There we go. You don't want it to be like this. A little more like that. I'll just leave it like that for now, and add her little toe lines there and toe lines there. Now, I kind of wish I never did this, but I gave her a tail. Drawing this tail can be a pain. Because you just can't have a, tail's got to have a little curve in it. And cats like to curve their tails, and when they're happy, form that little L shape. Man, but damn, drawing it in here, I had some issues. I do not know why. I've drawn her tail so many times in this position. It was just giving me the fits. That's right, the fits. And granted, yes, I could change it later on and the other thing, but I wanted it to be an easy base to work with. And the other thing I added was some hair. I didn't want it to just be this regular ball cat. The hair makes her unique. Gives her that little special something something. And of course, here comes the cape flowing behind her. It's going to be behind the tail, but I'm drawing over the tail. I can always erase that, And the cape is just a little bit past where the skirt ends. Most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. So, first book idea was like, well, what do I do? This cat, she wants to help animals. So what kind of situation could I put her in to help an animal? And I thought, a little doggy lost in the woods. That's good. What is he doing there? And does he belong to somebody? She finds he has a little collar on with his name on it, and his name is Buddy. And she finds him in the middle of this forest. He doesn't know how he got there, but he did remember chasing a squirrel. Fresh little puppy. And that's how he wound up in the predicament he was in. So she picks him up and flies around town looking for his human family and finds a little girl named Melanie looking for him. And they eventually find out how he got out of the yard. She left the gate open by accident when she went for the ice cream truck. Oops. But she learned her lesson, and she's reunited with her little doggy. That's the premise of the first book. And now we're in the inking phase. And I'm going back to my G pen. As you can see, it's selected on the top there in Clip Studio Paint. The G pen is what I use to draw all the books. It was my go-to, and it worked smoothly enough. I enjoyed what it did. So I said, let me go back to the G pen for Meow Meow. That's her favorite pen to use in this. Because it's a great pen. Isn't that what the G stands for? I like to think so. And then I released the book. I had to hire an editor, as I explained on my Creating My Kids book page. It's always good to have someone check your work. Third party, they're kind of neutral. and released the book in fall of 2022. To a little pomp and circumstance. A lot of my co-workers at the day job bought it, and friends and family and other people. It was very nice. Even people I hadn't heard from in years. They'd order a copy, and I'd have to have it shipped to me, and then I'd sign it for them and mail it to them. I'm like, oh, that's really nice. I appreciated the support a lot. So that went on, and then in early 2023, I said, well, let's do another Meow Meow book. So I came up with one that's closer to me. We have a horse, and her name is Angel, and that's the name of the horse in the book. And I said, well, let me make a story that's loosely based on that. Our horse Angel was found in a junkyard with 4 other horses. Yep. I quickly realized here, Meow Meow has 2 eyelashes. I wasn't sure if she had 3 or 2, so I had to fix that. But going back to the second book, I said, okay, let me make it about Meow Meow finding out that there's these 5 horses in a junkyard. One of them is named Angel. Now, it's too much for Meow Meow to do alone, so she goes to a horse rescue and gets that person's help. Here's another thing I wish I'd never done, but I did. Whiskers. They are such a pain to draw. Every time I'm like, man, why did I give her whiskers? 2 little whiskers up there. Can't go back. But have to draw them every time. I wish I never gave her whiskers, but that's what she stuck with. Any Meow Meow. And so Meow Meow goes to get help from this rescue gal named Lainey, and she has 3 other volunteers help her to rescue the horses. They go in her big horse rescue trailer truck and load them up. And the horse Angel gets eventually adopted by one of the volunteers and his daughter. How cute is that? Just like we did. My wife was volunteering at a place, and she went on the rescue that got us our horse. And then our horse was she was very thin and malnourished, but they rescued all of the horses, and they nursed all of them back to health. And the horse rescue lady knew that my wife and Angel had bonded, so when she was a good, healthy weight, we were able to adopt her for free. Thank you mucho. And had her since 2012. She's a good girl. Yeah, the G-Pen's moving smoothly. And I don't think I've ever used a G-Pen with these new settings I have. With the stabilization and anti-aliasing, or whatever you want to call it. Aliasing. That's a weird word. And the brush this small. It's working out better. So I released that book near Christmas time. I think it was November of 2023. Didn't hit as big as I was hoping. Like, people forgot. I don't know. In this day and age, when you're releasing a book by yourself, you're kind of responsible for everything. And I'm just, when it comes to promoting and all that, well, I'm a little cheap. I don't want to really spend to do that. As I spent some money to promote my first book, but they just posted on blog sites. I mean, maybe it helped. I don't know. I definitely had more book sales from the first book. Man, I was like really proud of the second book because I had learned a lot more about drawing in Clip Studio Paint and coloring and the whole printing it. Yeah, if you go to any of my videos where it says creating my kids book playlist, you'll see what I've been through. I haven't gone on to talking about Meow Meow and the Great Horse Rescue, which was book number 2. Book number 1 was Meow Meow and the Lost Doggy. I was going to say lost dog, but my granddaughter said you should call it Doggy. It'll be more appealing to kids. Like, okay, you're a kid, you know. And that's what that became. So 2024 comes around. I'm like, what do I do with Meow Meow now? Do I do a third book? Yeah. But what? Like, wouldn't it be great to have Meow Meow in a Halloween book? Now, I had made a Meow Meow drawing of her in this Halloween costume I just drew for her. Some webs and a pumpkin where the heart symbol is. Really cool outfit. And I'm like, ooh, she could wear that. What the story be about? Now, here was the big conundrum. I was getting the idea in January. And usually, Halloween fever starts in August. I'm like, what? Now I'm giving myself an 8-month deadline? Uh-oh. And this is maybe mid-January. Like, oh no, am I really going to do this? Like, well, I guess so. So I started writing the story. Did a little differently. I started writing the ideas and what could happen. And then kids' picture books are 30 to 33 pages on average. It's a good little short story for the kids. I'm like, well, I had an idea of a cat getting lost in a haunted house. Like, okay, let's work with that. And Meow Meow's trick-or-treating with some friends. And someone asks for her help to find her cat who went into that house up on the hill. Meow Meow's like, okay. And her friends are like, that's a haunted house. And Meow Meow's, come on, there's no such thing. Or is there? As they soon find out, there's a lot more to this house than meets the eye. And that one was, so with that book, I knew I had this tight deadline. This is including finishing the drawings, the coloring, getting it to an editor, getting it ready for publishing. So I had to really work on that book just about every day. I do have a day job in the secular world, so I had to work on it at night when I got home, which I did, and I think I was done by June. It's like, wow, way ahead of schedule. And the book was ready and published it in August. I'm very proud of how it came out. I even have a real good twist ending, which I will not reveal to you. And there's that tail again. Even tracing over this tail, in the digital world, it's really weird to draw these angles. You're stuck in this position. You can't move your arm at an angle like you normally would in a drawing. You have to stay on this pad, this tablet. That's the hardest part. Because normally you just adjust your arm and move it up or down, and then maybe move your hand to the side, but you can't do that. You have to rotate the canvas, and it's weird. But we adapt and overcome one way or another. Even though I'm tracing, I'm still having some challenges. And that was a big theme of creating the books. I had challenges. There were some times when I felt like giving up. I think, yeah, on each book. Because it was just, as you can see, sometimes with this, I have to do lines over and over and over again. And then even with the story, I'm like, the story's just not working for me. I had some endings for the books, and especially the Halloween one. I had an ending that was like, this seems too bloated, or it's just, I don't get it. It's not working for me. And I stuck with it, and what is my motto? Find a way. I found a way. And this is something I did with the inking phase. I did this circle tool. It's an ellipse. I prefer using this. You get perfect circles. Granted, I could try and draw them, but you know what? Why not? Why bother? I got these perfect circles I can do. That's what this tool is for, so might as well use the tools that are there. Yeah, when I first did book number 1 and partially book number 2, I had maybe like a dozen of these circles. I'm like, what am I doing to myself? It's too much. So that was that. Circle tool saves the day there. The tools are there, might as well use them. And Meow Meow doesn't really require a lot of details. This is what she looks like without that line. I just wanted to draw some hairline, little hair flowing lines. Now, when I do this in the book, I add this later because I color in. Because if you color in with lines, it's really, if you do a fill tool and you have all these lines, it's going to be very blotchy and there's going to be some empty spots. So if you know you're going to do something like that, add these lines later. But since we're not coloring Meow Meow yet, we're going to do it this way. Down the road, I will do some coloring, but should I do a Patreon for that or not? Maybe. It's a lot of work. And here I went to thicken the lines. Since I did it at a 4, I wanted to fill in lines and use that adjust line tool to just thicken in the lines and make her pop. There we go. You just go over each spot and you can see them getting a little darker, thicker. That's the way I did it in the books. Fill in those gaps. Well, there isn't a 4th Meow Meow book in the works yet. Gotten some ideas, but as you know from my other videos, I've been working on that fight to save the universe, so that's been a big thing. And I've also been working on some other short stories. I'm going to use a pen name, Xander Beck's. Those are my more adult stories. But Meow Meow's not done. There's still probably be some more. Maybe just not this year. So yeah, it's already June. End of June. As of the posting of this video. But basically that's Meow Meow. Just had to do some adjustments on her feet and add some little lines to her cape, and that's it. Not much detail needed. So there's your basic Meow Meow. Just for you. A little detail to her cape, and that's it. So it's been real. I am glad you got to finally see me draw Meow Meow. Take a little break away from the comic book superhero types and to my super kitty. So glad you could join and draw Meow Meow, and we'll see you on the next video. Until next time, this is your artist Alejandro saying keep creating.